Whether you're thinking of buying, selling, or refinancing property, in this video we're going to share with you what a CEMA is and how it can help you save money on closing costs. Coming up. Hi, this is Kai with the Kai Wong team, helping you better understand everything you need to know about New York City real estate. Today I have the pleasure of introducing you to Tim Alamong from Alamong & Associates. How are you doing today, Tim?
Great, thanks Kai. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Tim Alamong. I am a real estate attorney in New York City. I represent buyers and sellers of residential and commercial real estate here.
Okay.
The properties that I typically handle are co-ops, condos, single multifamily homes, and buildings.
Great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today.
My pleasure.
So, purchase CEMAs, what are they and how can that benefit the clients?
Sure. So a purchase CEMA stands for a purchase consolidation, extension, and modification agreement. A CEMA allows a new lender to accept or modify the existing mortgage held by the seller on the current property. In other words, the seller assigns or modifies their mortgage to give it to the purchaser. At the end, the purchaser only pays a mortgage tax on the difference between the amount that he or she is taking out and what the seller's unpaid principal balance is. So you narrow down the amount of money you're paying your tax on.
What's the benefit for a buyer to go about this process?
Regardless of where in New York State you are, you're going to pay a mortgage recording tax. It's important for people to understand that a co-op transaction, there's no mortgage tax, so purchase CEMA has nothing to do with it.
Okay, so it's really just for condos, buying a house, or multifamily.
Right. The first thing that a purchaser needs to understand when looking to do a purchase CEMA is to find out whether the seller's bank is willing and able to do a type of assignment that they're going to request. So a seller has to be on board with the process as well, because the seller has to agree to allow his or her lender to assign it to the purchaser and sign some documents and pay a fee.
What's another benefit to the purchaser for doing a purchase CEMA?
One of the advantages to a purchaser in introducing the CEMA is they could potentially take advantage of the seller's interest rate.
So in terms of if the seller, when they first purchased the property, they had a lower interest rate, they'll be able to benefit and retain that.
If the lender
allows it,
right.
Got it. Any other benefits?
Yes, one huge benefit is that a buyer can present a purchase CEMA to negotiate unit upgrades, because there are benefits in this purchase CEMA to a seller. They could ask for unit upgrades, or potentially in lieu a seller's concession, or if you're buying new development, that could be something that supplants your transfer taxes or your sponsor's attorney's fees.
Got it.
So there's a lot of negotiation power when you're coming to the initial offer when you have this in your back pocket.
Since you were talking about using that as a negotiation tactic as a buyer, what's the benefit for the seller to do it then?
Right, so there has to be a benefit in it for the seller, otherwise the seller wouldn't allow it, right?
Of course.
So there's two things. One is that there is a built-in incentive from New York State. A seller benefits in a purchase CEMA transaction in paying a reduced amount of the New York State transfer taxes, which is ordinarily $4 for every $1,000. So the seller's benefit there is actually pretty minimal. The transfer tax that is due by New York State is a fraction of the transfer tax that the city charges. The city doesn't give any benefits to a seller when the seller goes into a CEMA transaction.
Okay.
So what happens most of the time is the buyer will calculate how much he or she is saving in the reduced mortgage tax, and we'll split it in a splitter agreement with the seller. It's literally 50-50 down the middle. All the mortgage tax savings that the buyer recoups, the transfer tax savings that the seller recoups from the state, all of the additional recording fees, the recording fees that we're not paying, and we put it all into a pot and we split it between the parties 50-50. This is something that obviously It benefits everyone in the transaction. We're just all saving in taxes.
How can a purchase SEMA help with refinancing as well?
The refinance transaction is what most New Yorkers are more aware of, and especially in relation to what a SEMA is. Most of the time people are doing their SEMAs on their existing mortgage where they take out a little bit more money than what's on their unpaid principal balance, and they will pay mortgage tax on whatever the difference is.
Got it. Great. Wow, that's really beneficial for refinancing as well. You're saving a lot of money too.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks. So it benefits the buyer, the seller, and also refinancing. Anything else you want to mention as well?
Yes, one of the things that purchasers should always remember is that this is something you can bring to your offer to separate your offer from other bids if you find yourself in a bidding war. Another thing is to start the process as early as possible. So you're really trying to make sure that you're not trying to schedule the closing and you're just waiting on these documents.
Got it. That's a great tip. So especially since you said use it as part of the negotiating, right? When you're talking to the seller, they should probably have the conversation with the attorney that's familiar with the purchase SEMA in the beginning, even before they go into contract, just so they know how to use this, correct?
Correct. The first person you want to understand the SEMA is the seller, because they're the ones that is going to have to agree right off the bat to start the process. They have to sign paperwork and give their lender the okay to go forward.
Got it. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, so definitely have that conversation with the attorney beforehand, understand what the process is, and also what you're presenting to the seller.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it, and thank you for all that information.
Sure, thank you for having me.
And thank you guys for watching. And also, Tim, I understand that you also created a handout for the purchase SEMA, right?
Right, it's a checklist. It has all of the things that buyers and sellers need to know.
Great. So if you're interested in that checklist, we have it in the link below. You could just go to the link below to grab the information, and we'll send it right to you. Thank you so much for watching the video. Hope you found it informative. If you have any questions that you want us to discuss in a future video, please leave in the comments below. And as always, if you're new here, consider subscribing. On this channel, we share with you buying, selling tips, market updates, and neighborhood guides. So thank you so much for watching the video. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye, guys.